Another night in Lagos. The kind where the rain doesn't fall, it hunts. It's the kind that washes the city but never its sins. Lagos never sleeps. It only shifts its sins from one street to another. After dark, that's not a city anymore. That's a gamble. You either play or you get played. That's the thing about this city. It doesn't sleep because it's guilty. Every light flickering in the distance, every horn in the dark, they're all alibis for something unspoken. Me? I've walked these streets long enough to know the rich hide their dirt behind tinted glass, the poor wear theirs on their sleeves. My name's Detective Kazeem. I'm a private eye. People don't come to me when they're happy. They don't come with smiles or champagne. They come when something's gone missing. Money, truth, or in tonight's case, a man. I'm the one you call when the city swallows someone whole and the police shrug it off with a smile. Tonight it was a man, not just any man, a rich one, important. The kind of man who doesn't just vanish unless someone wants him erased. His name is Tobi Quadri. On nights like this, the rain was my only company, and thoughts about how every case starts the same, with a knock, or sometimes a storm. This time it was both. 3 knocks. Even, calm, the kind that belongs to someone who's used to being let in. The perfume hit first, soft, expensive, a mix of jasmine and trouble. It fought with the smell of rain and lost. She was young, maybe early 30s, tall, green dress, fear hiding under mascara. "You're Kazeem?" she asked, her voice steady, but the kind of steady you practice in front of a mirror. I didn't answer right away. You learn more from silence than from words. "They said you're the only one who can find him." "That depends. Who's gone missing?" She hesitated. Then, "My brother. Tobi. He runs a tech firm on the island." I leaned back. The name rang bells. I'd seen him in the papers. Interviews, awards, all the noise success makes before it goes quiet. "Yesterday he left for a meeting. He never came back." She slid a photo across my desk. A man in a sharp suit, with a smile too confident for the city. The kind of man who thought charm could outtalk danger. Confident, expensive, careless. "You've gone to the police?" I asked. "They said they're looking into it." Her voice tightened. "That was 12 hours ago. Tobi's not the type to disappear. He's all I've got." "He looks like the type who believes Lagos can't swallow him," I said. I studied the photo again. Sharp suit. Watch that costs more than rent. "Tell me something," I said. "Your brother, he has enemies?" She hesitated. "Everyone in Lagos has enemies. Some just pay them better." I almost smiled. Almost. "He's smart, Mr. Kazeem. Careful. Doesn't go anywhere without telling me. But last night, his driver said he dropped him off at a lounge in Surulere. The Black Bottle." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it wasn't. The Black Bottle was a graveyard for good intentions. Men went there to forget deals gone wrong. Some never came back out to remember them. He wasn't the kind to drink. That's why I'm scared. His phone's off. His office says he canceled meetings yesterday. And this, she reached into her purse, pulling out a note, folded twice. "What's this?" I asked. "It was slipped under my door this morning." The paper was damp from the rain outside. 3 words scribbled in red ink. "Stop looking, Dara." The note read. My cigarette burned low between my fingers. The smoke curled like a question I didn't want to answer. When did you get this? Before dawn. There was no one outside when I opened the door. I leaned back, staring at the rain-streaked window. Someone wanted her scared. Someone wanted this buried. Did your brother owe anyone money? I asked further. No, he was helping the police with some data thing, corporate fraud or something. He didn't tell me much. Corporate fraud. That's not street business. That's men in suits pretending to be saints. From her purse, she pulled out a small black envelope. Inside the envelope, I found a matchbook. Gold letters embossed on the cover read, "The Black Bottle Lounge." While flipping through, I asked about enemies. She listed business rivals, a jealous ex, some unnamed politician. Lagos always gives you a buffet of suspects. It's just a matter of which one's hungry enough. The matchbook was empty. Nothing. Just the name. The reminder. Someone wanted this breadcrumb found. I met her eyes. If I take this case, it won't be cheap. And it won't be clean. She leaned closer, shadows curling across her face. Find him, please. Money doesn't matter. That's when I knew. This wasn't just about a missing man. This was about blood. Hers. His. Maybe mine. When she left, the perfume lingered, heavy as a promise. I pocketed the matchbook, crushed the cigarette, and reached for my coat. It was time to revisit old ghosts. The Black Bottle Lounge sits like a secret on a busy street. Downtown. My old haunt. A kind of place where trouble doesn't knock. It pours. As I drove, the city blurred past. Neon bleeding into rain. Back when I still believed whiskey could drown memories, that was where I went. But memories don't drown. They float. The rain eased as I got closer. Cars hissed past and the air tasted of gasoline and secrets. The lounge glowed in the distance, a red sign buzzing against the wet dark. Through the door, I could already hear the jazz, smooth and smoky, curling out into the street like bait. I hesitated for half a second on the curb, watching the neon flicker. Cases like this never start in bars. They end there, but I walked in anyway. The black bottle was darker than I remembered. Inside, it hadn't changed. Dim lights, cheap jazz floating in the smoke, men with gold watches and dirty hands hunched over glasses of whiskey. A room where power came to forget itself, where deals were written in alcohol and erased by morning. The air smelled of whiskey, sweat, and lies. Behind the counter was Femi, the bartender. He'd been here longer than the neon sign outside. He noticed me before I said a word. They always do. His face carried that mixture of recognition and regret. He polished the same glass 3 times, as though scrubbing it could erase the guilt on his mind. His hands moving slow, eyes on me as I stepped in. "Well, if it isn't Kazeem," he said, smirking without warmth. "Thought you quit this dump." "Relax, Femi." "I quit whiskey," I said, sliding onto the stool. "Not the truth." His laugh was short, hollow. "Truth doesn't sell here. Only illusions." I flicked the matchbook onto the bar. He froze just long enough for me to notice. I leaned on the bar, lowering my voice. "I'm looking for someone. Tobi Quadri, sharp suit, smile like he owns the city. You seen him?" "Don't know nothing," he muttered. "Funny," I said, leaning closer. "I wasn't asking what you don't know. I was asking where Tobi was last seen. Because his sister's worried," I pressed. "Because his phone's dead. And because if something happened here, you don't want it on your conscience." His jaw tightened. He set the glass down. For a moment, he said nothing. He kept his eyes on the glass. That's how you know a man's lying. He cleans what's already clean. Finally he spoke, voice low. He was here last night with a man in a gray cap. They argued. Then they left through the back alley. Gray cap. No name. Just a detail. But in my business, details build a noose. Gray cap, you know him? Femi shook his head. No name. Drives a black Prado. Number plates covered. I tossed a note on the counter. More than the whiskey was worth. If you see him again, you didn't. The alley was colder than the bar. The rain had stopped, but puddles reflected the flicker of a dying streetlight. The smell was diesel, trash, and something worse. Fear. My boots splashed softly as I walked deeper. That's when I saw it. A phone, cracked, lying in a shallow pool of water. The screen glowed faintly as if it was still breathing. I picked it up. Tobi's phone. Unlocked. No passcode. Either brave or careless. On the screen was a half-typed message. Meet me at Pier 7, 10 p.m. Pier 7, Smuggler's Paradise. Midnight deals made in silence. Broken promises buried under waves. Tobi had walked straight into a trap. I pocketed the phone and lit another cigarette. The flame shook in the wind, and so did I, though I'd never admit it. By the time I reached the docks, the rain had finally stopped. But the fog had taken its place, rolling thick and heavy across the water. Cargo ships loomed like black mountains, silent giants in the mist. Lagos flickered in the distance, bright and untouchable, as if mocking the darkness at the pier. Each step on the wooden planks echoed like a confession. "Tobi?" I called, my voice swallowed by the fog. No answer, just a soft lap of water against the pier and the distant cry of crickets. I walked further. Then I saw it, a gray cap lying on the planks. Beside it, a cufflink, gold, engraved with the letter M. Someone wanted me to see this. Someone wanted me chasing shadows. I crouched, picking it up. The metal was still warm. Whoever left it hadn't gone far. And then, the phone in my pocket rang. Unknown number. I answered. Kazeem. The voice that came through was distorted, stretched thin like it had been dragged through broken wires. You're late. Tobi's life for your silence. Walk away before I could respond. The line went dead. Just silence. The kind that weighs heavy. I stared out into the fog, the water black as ink. Someone had set the board, and I was just another piece. But they made one mistake. They called me. I lit another cigarette, let the match burn down until it kissed my fingers, and whispered to the night, "No one disappears on my watch." The rain began again, soft at first, then heavier, drowning the pier in silver streaks. The call from last night still rings in my skull, a voice thick with menace, distorted like it was chewing on static. Stop digging, detective, or you'll vanish too. Threats are part of this business. They're like mosquitoes in the Lagos wet season. You swat one down, two more buzz in your ear. But this one felt different. It felt personal, not random, not empty. The kind of voice that knew my name, knew my face, knew exactly how long I'd last if I didn't listen. The city outside my window didn't care. Lagos never does. The streets smelled of gasoline and wet dust. The sound of horns was already picking up, the city waking like a restless giant. But Tobi did vanish, a man who had been counting numbers that didn't add up and who had gotten too close to the truth. I thought about his sister, Dara Quadri, Her voice cracked like a Toyota Avensis dashboard when she hired me. She still believed he was out there, waiting to be found. She wanted her brother back, not justice, not explanations, just him. I couldn't tell her the truth, that cases like this don't usually end with reunions. They end with bodies. Morning in Lagos doesn't rise gently. It claws its way through cracked clouds and traffic fumes, dragging you along whether you're ready or not. That phone call had drawn a line in the sand. Whoever was on the other end knew what Tobi had stumbled into, and they wanted me to back off. But fear and I don't share the same bed. If someone warns me away, I figure that's where the light is brightest. So I made my choice. I grabbed my coat and decided the next move had to be Tobi's office. If there was any scrap of him left, it would be there, buried between ledgers, contracts, and dust. The Uber I took rattled like it was stitched together with rust and prayers. The driver didn't ask questions. He just turned the radio up. Trench's Love by T.I. Blaze was humming through static and let me ride in silence. Tobi's office was a concrete box dressed up as legitimacy. Faded paint, glass fogged, signboard hanging crooked with the name of Tobi's firm. The kind of place where money goes to hide in paperwork. He'd been an accountant by trade. Numbers don't lie, they say, but men do. And numbers keep the evidence. Inside the lobby, a security guard slept slumped in his chair, newspaper like a blanket across his chest. I didn't bother waking him. His snores told me everything. If someone had been here, tearing through Tobi's office, he either didn't see it or he was paid to look the other way. In this city, the second option is always cheaper. The door to Tobi's office wasn't locked. That was my first itch. The lock was fine, not broken, which meant either Tobi left in a hurry or someone wanted me to think he had. The room was dark, air inside was stale, heavy with the scent of dust and ink. It was the silence that unnerved me most, not the natural quiet of an empty room, but the kind of silence that feels staged, like the room was holding its breath. Papers littered the floor. Not just dropped, but flung, scattered like dead leaves. Contracts torn open, folders ripped in half, invoices tossed about, notes scrawled in Tobi's neat handwriting. Tobi wasn't a messy man. I'd seen his notes before. Every digit neat, every line ruled, every page aligned. This chaos wasn't his. Someone had been searching, fast and angry. I crouched down, picked up a page. It was an invoice for construction supplies, cement, rebar, steel rods. But the amounts were wrong. They were billed twice and signed with different names. Fraud layered on fraud, hidden in plain sight. Another page, same story. Money moving where it shouldn't. Numbers twisted to serve something larger. Someone was laundering money through contracts, using Tobi's firm as a funnel. I went through his desk. Pens, receipts, crumbles of stale biscuits. In the bottom drawer, a ledger half burnt at the edges. Someone had tried to torch it, but not completely. The surviving pages spoke in whispers. Offshore accounts, shell companies, and a letter scrawled again and again, M. It didn't take a genius to know Tobi had been pulling at threads someone wanted kept tied. And then I noticed it. A dent, small, almost invisible. So faint it could have been missed by anyone who wasn't already suspicious. Not the kind of damage you make by accident. Inside was a flash drive. Silver, scratched, unmarked. The kind of thing people bury, not because it's worthless, but because it's a live wire. I pocketed it, but the air in that room shifted. It grew colder. The silence felt occupied, like someone else was breathing with me. I killed the lamp, let the shadows take over, stepped slowly to the window. Across the street, under a sagging MTN billboard, was a figure, a man in a gray cap, standing perfectly still, too still, his head tilted toward me, body sharp against the rain. He didn't move. He didn't blink. Gray cap. He wasn't watching the building. He was watching me. You've stayed with me through the storm, and trust me, this case is only just opening. If you're hooked, follow me into the next file. Subscribe so you don't lose the trail. Every clue matters. Every shadow hides a name.